Hello, how are you? I'm so glad you're here. In this video, I'm going to talk a wee bit about functional disorders. So a lot of people will come to see me when they have been told they have a functional disorder. So in that situation, the person will always tend to know what that means, and that they'll have been told hopefully by the consultant, or they'll have looked it up and they'll know what it means. But it may be a term that you've seen used, and if it hasn't been something that you've been directly involved with, you might not be so clear on what it means. So a functional disorder is basically when structural changes have been ruled out as the cause for somebody's symptoms. So immediately from that, you'll maybe see that it sits very well with the approach that we take using pain reprocessing therapy, etc., to resolve symptoms, because by definition, we're predominantly working with conditions where structural changes are not the cause of the symptoms. So functional disorders basically apply to almost all the conditions that I would work with. So when would that diagnosis be given? Well, most commonly, probably the one you hear it most often is probably in relation to neurological disorders. So someone maybe presents to their doctor with maybe weakness in their arms or legs, maybe a problem with their walking, maybe problems with their speech, maybe even headaches, dizziness, altered sensations, so pins and needles and numbness and that kind of thing. And obviously the doctor would refer them on to the hospital for investigations in due course from there. So once lots of tests have been carried out, and the neurologist probably would have seen you, if they've ruled out all the kind of major things, multiple sclerosis, motor neuron disease, stroke, some sort of malignancy or tumour, Huntington's disease, they've ruled out a neurological cause, then they might say, well, you have a functional neurological disorder. So that means that you have neurological symptoms, but there is no structural or biological or anatomical or physiological cause for your symptoms based on the investigations that they have done. So you'd be told you have a functional neurological disorder, or FND. And that can be quite distressing for people sometimes to be told that. But it also can be a great relief, because it means you don't have a more serious condition. But nonetheless, as we very well know, it doesn't make your symptoms any less to be told that. So I say that's probably the most common one, is functional neurological disorders, in terms of actually being given it as a diagnosis. But functional disorders, as I say, apply to almost all of the other symptoms that we'll treat. So things like stomach or bowel problems that don't have a physiological cause, things like IBS can be classed as a functional disorder. Chronic headaches are predominantly a functional disorder. Chronic back pain is a functional disorder. Fibromyalgia is a functional disorder. There are no structural changes or damage that are causing the symptoms, but nonetheless you have the symptoms. So again, if we think back to what that means, it means it's a problem with processing. It's a problem with the way in which the nervous system is processing the messages it's receiving, rather than being a hardware problem where there is a problem with the actual structure of the body or the nerves or whatever it is. So a software problem as opposed to hardware problem. Functional disorders are to do with the processing of the signals that the nervous system are receiving. And of course, that, as we know, is absolutely amenable in most cases to being retrained, and we can help the symptoms improve and resolve. So to be diagnosed with a functional disorder is actually a really good thing. It's a great thing, because it means you have something that we can improve, that doing this type of work, we can absolutely get better. The key thing to remember is it is not, and it should not be taken as saying that your symptoms are not real or made up or imaginary or in your head. That is not what it means at all. It means that you have symptoms that are not due to a structural cause, but your symptoms are very much real due to the way in which your nervous system is processing the signals it's receiving. So that's just a wee brief thing about functional disorders, in case it's a term you've heard being used, or you may have recently been told that is what you have. So it's a good thing. It's good because it means it's not anything more sinister. It means that doing this work can absolutely help and improve and resolve your symptoms. So it's a positive thing. Your symptoms are real, and we can help them and make them better. So that's a wee brief one for today on functional disorders, and I'll leave it at that for now, and see you again soon. Bye for now.